All right, welcome back to Right on the Money, your go-to resource for your financial decisions. Now, our guest today is Bob Duchin, owner and operator of Robert J. Duchin and Associates Limited. And Bob, we're here today to talk about your new book, Sleep Well at Night. And one of the first things, I have to say this right off the bat, I almost maybe tease you a little bit, but Bob has a little bit of laryngitis and he is fighting his way through it, so we really appreciate that in its entirety.
I'll do my best, Dennis.
Let's just dive right in. So Bob, you've been in the business, for those folks that don't know, you've been in the business
47 years this past June 1st.
47 years. Now, with this new book, with Sleep Well at Night, what was your inspiration?
Well, I like to feel, when I talk to people and clients, of safety and guarantees. Although I am security licensed, I'm a firm believer that someone that are in their 60s and 70s should not have most of their assets in the market. We saw what happened in 2002. We saw what happened in 2008. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. But the problem is, if there's a 20, 30, 40% hit, I don't want to go to a client and say, Bill, we're here for our annual review and your $1 million is now worth $600,000. I couldn't come into the front door. But when I come into the front door, from what I mentioned in my book, I'm talking about guarantees and safety. They will never lose a dollar in the products I recommend. They can only make money. And that's the products that I own. I believe in these products, and we'll talk more about that.
You know, you mentioned a couple great points. I've read the book, and first and foremost, it's a great book and does a fantastic job of just leading me right down the pathway. And in speaking of pathways and fairways, I couldn't help but notice that the book has the front nine and the back nine. Do you golf a little bit?
I'm an avid golfer. My life, basically, besides my family, is my business, of course, and I golf. I don't have many other hobbies, but I've done a lot of business on the golf course. I do a lot of sponsorship for events. I've gained a lot of clients from that. If they're interested in the stock market and they're 65 years old, almost every time I say, well, Bill, although I'm licensed to help you, I'm not comfortable. Just like a doctor wouldn't recommend any medication that he doesn't think will help a person.
Sure.
I don't want to recommend a product that I don't think's in your best interest. If you want that product, I'll recommend you go to somebody else, even though I'm licensed to market and sell it.
And that's something that I really appreciated about your book, is that I've seen different books that are out there giving financial advice, and a lot of times it's given by somebody who can't offer or doesn't know all facets of the options that are available to a client, and yet you do. You've got that licensing, you know those products, and yet you gravitate towards things that you would do for your own family, which you mentioned a couple times in the book, which I think is great. So let's talk about the golf theme and how the book is put together. So we've got the front nine, which covers.
Well, the front nine, basically, we're talking about young physicians. Although I do business, obviously, with anyone that's not a physician, but that's where I gear my practice to, because these doctors, their main concern is health and welfare of their clients, or not clients, I should say patients, where mine is the welfare of my client. And I talk about that in my book. And the front nine basically is someone just beginning their career. They need life insurance. There's lots of different kinds of life insurance. And that's why when I do a fact finder, I want to know their goals and their desires. Disability, different kinds of products for the client. I've had a number of disability claims, and I can't tell you how excited I am when the client would call me and say, Bob, I don't know how to thank you for what you did. And you know, I have a client that's been on disability for probably about 10 years right now. And if I recall, it's about $8,000, $9,000 a month, tax-free, every month, as long as he's still disabled. And he has to qualify by the doctors have to send certain letters to the insurance company to verify their disability.
And it is fascinating that in that profession, the medical field, the doctors, really the biggest asset they have is here. And whereas some other construction or some other company has the physical assets that they can sell if they need to, but otherwise they've got to protect the practice and the practices themselves.
Absolutely, and that's why insurance companies for business overhead usually have 15 to 18, maybe 24 months of coverage, because usually after that period of time, if the doctor is disabled, he's probably going to be disabled for a long period of time, and he may sell the practice. So therefore, that's why business overhead is usually a shorter period than personal disability that can go for lifetime benefits if you set that up correctly.
So the front nine, I'm going to bring us back then. So back to the course, back to Sleep Well at Night. So the front nine is savings, is putting money away, protecting that stream of income or that person's career. In the second half, the back 9 is more on retirement?
Exactly. The front 9 basically deals beginning your career, having a family. Of course, the children will go to college. I believe in the 529 plans for college education. I recommend that or set that up for my clients because I have it for my grandchildren. And as they progress, and now they're coming towards the back end, where the life insurance and the disability may not be as important as retirement guaranteed income continually.
And we're going to talk about that when we come back after the break, because you do mention on life insurance that there still is a role later on when the kids are out of the house. There's still a need to keep it.
The government has increased the estate tax exemption to a large sum. So somebody that's worth under 10 or 12 million dollars really doesn't have to worry about estate taxes at this point. But years ago, when the estate tax limit was up to $600,000, somebody that had a $5 to $10 million estate, Uncle Sam's going to want a lot of money. Here's where I come in. I've worked with a special attorney I do business with, and he sets up irrevocable trust to put insurance into a trust to pay the estate taxes. Now, it's very difficult in case I come in, across a very, very wealthy person. That type of insurance for estate tax purposes come in handy.
We could keep talking for an hour just on this topic, but we're at the end of the segment, so here's what we're going to do. After the break, we've got more with Bob in Sleep Well at Night, his new book that's coming up on Right on the Money.